Welcome to Gordon Cooper Technology Center's online anatomy and physiology course. My name is Rusty Gilpin. I will be your instructor for this course. I wanted to create a video to kind of welcome you to the course and provide you some information about how to navigate the course and some other relevant things that might be helpful in your journey through an online anatomy class. That being said, online classes in and of themselves are not typically easy classes or easier classes. And anatomy is not an easy subject, so it's kind of a double whammy with this course that it can be tough, it can be difficult, but with a little bit of, if you just kind of follow along with me and you just kind of trust me in this journey and heed my advice, I think you'll do just fine. So what you're looking at on the screen, of course, is the class in the learning management system. It's just kind of a layout of the class, and you can see each one of those little boxes that it's showing, like this one here and this one here. Those are called lessons. And within those lessons are lessons or assignments, things that you'll need to complete as you go through this course. Obviously, you've already found this first one, the course materials. That's where you're at, and that's where you found this video. Also underneath there is the course syllabus. We'll just take a quick peek at that syllabus. This is something that you guys are all going to need to read through this, understand this, know what's in it. There is a test over it, so you need to know about it. The grading scale that we use, you can see how that's, or not the grading scale, but the how the grades are weighted in this course. You can see the introduction that you're going to be working on here in just a minute. I'll show you that. Homework's worth 20%, discussion boards 25%, chapter exams, all that kind of stuff. You can see how those are weighted. These are weighted in such a way that you don't want to miss any of these assignments. You don't want to do extremely poorly on any of these assignments because it will affect your grade pretty significantly and relatively equally across the board. Let's see, grading scale down here, standard grading scale, A through F, and of course I cut it off at C because you get underneath that and you kind of know what you've got. You're below the bar. And on down here's kind of a summary of the assignments and what we'll be covering each week. Now, this syllabus is actually the 8-week syllabus, so we'll cover 2 chapters a week. If you're enrolled in the 16-week course, we will only cover 1 chapter a week. In the 16-week course, you'll have a discussion board every week with every chapter. In the 8-week course, you'll have 1 discussion board every week, but we'll cover 2 chapters. So you won't have a discussion board for each chapter. You only have 1 every week. So that's a layout of how the course is going to play out through our time together over either the next 8 weeks or the next 16 weeks, whichever course that you're enrolled in. Okay. Let me back up here to the previous screen, and you can see over here this navigation panel over here on the left is kind of a quick, easy access. We're underneath course materials, so if I go back to lessons, we're underneath this one. When I click on this, it opens up right here on our left. It shows course materials and it shows all the items underneath that, and then it also shows the other lessons, at least down to 6, and if we clicked on 6, it would show us some further on down. So we just talked about the syllabus. Under here you can find some information about some word processing software if you don't have something on your computer like Microsoft Word or something like that. If you don't have that and you need that, there's some links there to either get that, or there's even a link on there of some free Office type software that is similar to Microsoft Office that you can get for free. Of course, if it's free, you know, it's not always perfect, but that software actually does work pretty well. It's called open source software, and it works pretty well. A link to download the Adobe Reader, because you'll need that for some of the documents in this course. You'll need Adobe Reader. Most people probably already have that on their computer, but if you don't, there's a link. Here's a link to our YouTube channel where we have all of our videos. These videos are actually embedded throughout the course, so they're pretty easy to find. Most of the videos that you're going to need are right there. But If you decide that you want to go to the channel and see where all the videos are all at once, you're welcome to do that. If you happen to need help, this is an important one here. If you happen to need help and you're struggling, you're having trouble with something, you got questions about something, whatever it may be, send me an email. And the reason why I say emails, and I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, but I text message, I don't email. Well, in the business world and the education world, we still heavily use emails. So send me an email. I can answer emails a whole lot faster. Oftentimes, when students try to contact me by phone, they wind up leaving me a message, and sometimes it's a couple of days before I get back to them, and I apologize. But phone calls are difficult for me. I take my office number actually forwards to my cell phone, and I have my cell phone with me all the time, but I'm in and out of meetings and in and out of good things that are going on here on campus, either with instructors or other students or those types of things. So I won't interrupt them to take a phone call most of the time. You'll wind up leaving me a message. I don't call you back for a day or two and you're upset because you think I don't like you. That's not the case. It's just difficult for me, and because I get quite a few phone calls in a day. Send me an email. Emails are much easier for me to answer on the go. Anytime that I have a little bit of downtime, I'm answering emails, typically from my phone. So if you've got a question, email me first. But if you really feel like you need to hear my voice, feel free to give me a call if you need some human contact. I don't mind talking to you. And I don't mind visiting with you if you want to come by and visit with me in person if you've got some questions. If you want to do that, just make an appointment. Once again, it'll be easier to make an appointment by email. Though I'm pretty busy, I do make time for my students. So if you need to visit with me, please don't hesitate. You know, if you've got some questions or you're struggling with something, I'm glad to help. Also, there's a link here with some useful links and resources. I'm a very resourceful kind of person. That is how I've gotten through most of the classes that I've taken in my career, is being resourceful. A couple of the key resources that we use in this course is through Khan Academy and, of course, the crash course videos. You'll see these kind of listed throughout. In a particular chapter, I might have these videos referenced in there. For instance, if I just skip on down here to chapter 6, I'm just going to click on that. And under chapter 6, you can see chapter 6 videos. Well, what I've done is I've found videos that are relevant to that contain relevant information that'll hopefully solidify things with your understanding a little bit more. And I've placed them in that chapter that's easy for you to find. And I'll talk in a minute how I recommend that you watch these videos and in kind of what order I kind of recommend that you do things, okay? So I'm going to back up. Sorry, I'm going to go back to lessons, and then I'm going to get back to the course materials right where we were. So that was these helpful links, and you'll find them dispersed throughout. But right here, you can go to those directly and kind of navigate your way through there and find some things. Feel free to look on YouTube and those kinds of things to find other resources that may be helpful in your studying. But a word of caution with that, make sure that they're valid resources and they're good, reputable resources, so they're not steering you in the wrong direction. You know, some other student or somebody else that's just learning this probably is not the one that you want to learn from. And students oftentimes put stuff on YouTube because maybe they're doing an assignment that requires them to upload it to YouTube or something. It doesn't, just because it's on YouTube doesn't mean that it's factual and correct. It really could be an assignment by another student that they were required to upload it to YouTube in order to submit it. So be cautious about what you're using as a valid resource underneath there where you're getting your information. I know you've heard all that before. Go back to lessons. The next lesson that we're going to see here is this water cooler, and basically that's just a discussion board. It's just a place where you guys can share ideas and information and comments and those kinds of things. Just remember, whatever you comment, whatever you write, whatever you do within this course or on this campus or anything like that needs to be done in a professional manner. We do have a code of conduct. There is ethics that you guys need to follow. There is such a thing as professionalism. If you get outside of those boundaries and you start posting things or you start submitting things and doing things that are off color, that are, for whatever reason, violate the code of conduct or the code of ethics, or outside of professional behavior, you will be reprimanded and, quite honestly, probably suspended or removed. So just be careful what we're putting on there. Remember, this isn't Facebook. This isn't a place that you can kind of share your ideas and your feelings in your own way. I'm not saying you can't share your ideas and your feelings. You just have to do them in a respectful manner. So just keep that in mind when you're doing stuff, and you'll be just fine. You won't have to worry about a thing. But the water cooler is a place where you can kind of share things, kind of communicate with fellow students and that kind of stuff. It's usually not used a whole lot, but sometimes with some classes it is, as a way of communication. And I do read those. I do kind of see, I do go on there and check. For instance, if you want to let everybody know, hey, look, I'm going to be gone for a few days this week or something like that, sometimes I do that as well. I'll let people in the class know kind of what's going on. And then the next lesson is the orientation and introductions. Underneath that, there's a discussion board where you're asked to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself and those types of things. And then there's an orientation statement, and that kind of explains itself when you go there. And then, of course, the orientation exam, the exam that has questions from the syllabus, from this video. So make sure you watch the video as you're doing right now, but make sure you read the syllabus before you take that orientation exam. And you need to score 100 on that orientation exam. Okay? So that is the lessons. Like I said, this particular course that we're looking at right now is the 8-week anatomy and physiology course. I'm just going to sneak up here and we'll flip over to the 16-week for those of you guys that are taking the 16-week course, so you get an idea of what that's going to look like. Look if you look in the 16-week, you'll notice that they have 1 week to complete each one of these lessons that are in here. So its pace is a little slower. The material and everything is the same. Pace is a little bit slower, and there's a discussion board that needs to be completed every week. The 8-week bunch, there's a discussion board every week, but we're covering 2 chapters. Actually, for the 8-week guys, you got to do the orientation chapter 1 and chapter 2 all in the first week. So usually this course I'll open up a little bit early for those of you guys that are eager to get started. That way you can kind of get a little bit of a head start. So then if we look at week 1 and chapter 1 for the 8-week course, you can see that there's the PowerPoints for the course are here. I wanted you guys to have those as a resource, and those are the same PowerPoints that I use usually. Sometimes I'll get it mixed up. I'll send the full PowerPoints and not my edited ones, but I try to make sure that those are the exact same PowerPoints that I'm using in the lectures. Also here you'll notice that there is a video lecture for each week or each chapter in the course. So I try to help cement those things in. It's not required that you watch the lectures, but there's a resource to be helpful. Then of course you got homework and then a chapter exam, and that is chapter 1 of week 1. If you're having to do 2 chapters, you'll notice that second chapter's got a discussion board in it. If you're, like I say, if you're in a 16-week course, all of your courses will look similar to this. Some of them may have some of the chapters may have some video links in here that you're not seeing on this one, like I showed you down here in chapter 6 that had this this video link here. Okay, but 16-week courses will look a lot like this. The 8-week course will only have 1 discussion board a week, so that's why we see the difference here. Now, the way that I recommend doing this course, if you've never taken an online course before and you've never taken a college course before, it could be very easy to feel very overwhelmed or get started on the wrong foot and not really know where you need to start. So Those of you guys that have taken college courses and those of you guys that have taken online courses and you've been successful, especially if they're online college courses, you already know what I'm fixing to say. And what I want to say and what I want to express is there's a difference between reading and studying. We read oftentimes just to learn some new piece of information for the moment. We study because we want to not only learn that information, but we want to understand it and we want to retain it. And I make that distinction because oftentimes students think that what they need to do is read the chapter. Well, honestly, you can read most of these chapters inside of an hour, most of the time. But to study that chapter, to understand what it is, the information that chapter is trying to convey to you, is probably going to take more like 2 to 3 hours each chapter. So what I want you to do, especially if you're new to online courses or high-level courses, instead of reading, I want you to study. I want you to methodically go through each chapter. And this is how I want you to start out each chapter. This is what you do. Start out each chapter by reading the book, reading the chapter. So read that chapter, read it, study it, methodically go through it, spend time in it. Don't just highlight things and underline things arbitrarily for no reason. If you don't understand it, understand a paragraph or a sentence, stop, go look something up on the internet. Watch a video, something like that, so that you understand it. So you understand that as you're going through each piece of that information. Take your time, go through each chapter. Once you get through the chapter, you can come to these PowerPoints and print those off if you want to. And you can print PowerPoints. I don't know if you know this or not, but you can print 3 or 4 PowerPoints on a page. And oftentimes you can print them with notes next to them. And you can take those PowerPoints, go to this lecture, follow along with me. You've got your PowerPoints in front of you. You've got me lecturing to you with the PowerPoints on the screen, and you can make notes as you're going through those. And hopefully, between reading or between studying the chapter, watching the video, you got most of what you need to know. And then I'll supplement that, like I said, from time to time with some videos that I found from YouTube that I find are useful. Watch all those things, and then move on to your homework and exams. So here's how I recommend that the chapter play out when you start a new chapter. Study that chapter. Read that in the book. Read and study that chapter in the book. Print off the PowerPoint so you can take notes. Watch the video lecture. Take notes as you're going through the video lecture. Watch any supplemental videos or read any supplemental information that I may recommend. Do the homework, then take the exam. If you do that while taking notes and trying to get through that methodically and purposefully, you'll do very well in this class. Realize though that if you're in the 8-week class, those of you guys that are taking this 8-week class, you're going to have to devote probably at least 8 to 10 hours a week just for the workload in this class. If you're in the 8-week class. Now, if you're in the 16-week class, you can probably get away with 3 to 4 hours a week of classwork or study time, homework time, and all that. And you should be fine that way. So make sure that you carve out those times, and it doesn't matter what time of day that you're doing this. It could be 2 in the morning, it could be 2 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter, whatever time works for you. There's no set times for when you have to do something. It's just find the right time, but make the time. Don't wait until the last minute to do the homework and assignments. Don't wait until the last minute to try to get stuff done. Start at the beginning of the week, working on the very next chapter. Get through that and move on to the next chapter if you're in the 8-week course. If not, if you're in the 16-week course, just get those doggone things done early and be ready to move on. And take your free time at the end of the week, not at the beginning of the week, is what I'm getting at. As far as the exams, you don't have to come on campus to take any of the exams. You can take those right at home. But realize all of the exams are timed, and I can promise you you're not going to be able to start the exam and look stuff up in your book and pass the exam. What's going to happen is if you try to do that, you're going to run out of time and you're going to do poorly on the exam. So if you've read and studied the book, went through all the other materials, done the homework, watched the other videos and those types of things, and you're very familiar with that chapter in the book, when you go to take that exam, not only can you take the exam and probably already know the answer to the questions that it's asking, but you can flip through the book and go and find it and confirm that it is what you've thought because you know exactly where it's at in the book. So I'm not telling you that you can't use your book to take the exams because I know you will anyway. What I'm saying is don't think that you're going to be able to not study and read and then come in and take the exams and do well. You're not going to do well. Those of you guys that are moving on to either the paramedic or the nursing, and this is very important, pay very close attention to this. If you're moving on to the paramedic program or the nursing program, remember, you need to have an 80% average in this course at the end in order for this course to be accepted as the prerequisite for the course. So you have to make an 80. You can't not study and just by the luck, by sheer luck make, a C or a D in this course because you're not studying and you're just taking the exams, which I don't think you could anyway make a C or a D, but you might get lucky. But you're not going to get accepted into the paramedic or the nursing program with below a B average in this course. Okay, so be sure you keep that in mind when you're in your preparation for this. So remember, if you've got questions, send me an email. You're welcome to call me, but like I say, that's at your own risk. If you do call me and you're really trying to get a hold of me and it's something urgent, and don't wait on me to call you back. If you don't hear back from me in the next hour or two, try me again, eventually you'll get through. But like I say, usually within that time frame, I probably would have already answered your email. Okay. I realize everybody uses text messages. I use text messages like crazy. But in the communications within the classroom, email is the best form of communication because it's the most stable and the simplest, and it's a way that I can communicate with a large group of students. So email's where it's at. Okay. Let me know if you've got questions, and good luck to everybody.